3,000 families access affordable housing solutions. Plastic ban gains traction. And Jamaica leads authority for climate change project. Just some of the initiatives prioritized by the Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change in 2020. Find out more next.
We focused a lot on adjusting the variables in terms of the offerings to increase access to affordable and safe housing.
The Ministry of Housing carried out that mandate in 2020. Through the Housing Agency of Jamaica, plans were put into motion for 3,000 families to access affordable housing. In June, ground was broken for the 1,650-unit Catherine Estates project in St. Catherine. The 772-unit Edmund Ridge community in St. James is almost complete. And the Housing Agency advanced discussions for the building of 1,200 units at Grange Pen, also in St. James.
We'll be working with the private sector as well, ensuring that we provide the support for persons who want to take the risk with their money to invest in Jamaica, developing our country, and ensuring that we provide safe spaces for persons to own their own home or to rent.
The Jamaica Mortgage Bank also continued its partnership with private developers to build housing solutions across the island. Amendments to the Rent Restriction Act were completed. Discussions continued on the Rent Assessment Board, and stakeholder engagement was held through virtual town hall meetings.
The Rent Restriction Act is that very important piece of legislation that the government is seeking to update, to strengthen the outdated provisions and to introduce new provisions that will allow for us to better manage the relationship between landlords and tenants and to create a very clear and cogent legal framework for the operation of the rental industry in Jamaica.
The state's 3 million trees in 3 years initiative gained traction in 2020. Through the Forestry Department, 320,000 ornamental, wood, and fruit tree seedlings were planted and distributed.
Go out, plant your trees, nourish your trees, take care of them, maintain them, and ensure that we are spreading the green spaces across our beautiful island.
The department secured a commitment from Food for the Poor Jamaica to plant 1 million fruit trees and timber trees over the next 3 years. And the agency's management and conservation measures were boosted in the year with a $128 million injection from the European Union. Elsewhere, Phase 2 of the ban on plastics came into effect in 2020. It placed a ban on local manufacturing and use of polystyrene or styrofoam products used in the food and beverage industry.
We continue as well to encourage the private sector to view the measures being implemented as an economic opportunity, to look at waste as a resource by turning trash into cash. Consumers as well are encouraged to make informed purchases, consume products and services that are eco-friendly.
A $7 million box truck was donated for plastic collection. A cess on plastic bottles raised $628.3 million to support the deposit refund scheme set to begin in 2021. In 2020, 1,211 pounds of plastic waste was collected under the National Environment and Planning Agency's 8-week plastic recycling eco-reward pilot program. By December, NEPA and Recycling Partners of Jamaica launched a supermarket plastic recycling program. In addition to plastic collection depots being operational across the island, government stepped up its enforcement effort, and the ministry received half of a 10-year $430 million budget for Jamaica's first national program for the environmentally sound management of end-of-life pneumatic tires. Environmental protection in the cockpit country was bolstered with the ground truthing of 77.9 kilometers of land and the erection of permanent markers on 65.54 kilometers. The island's first pilot carbon assessment was executed in the Bogue 2 Forest Reserve in St. Anne, calculating an area of 32.5 tons of carbon per hectare. Work to install the country's $2.5 million Doppler weather radar at Cooper's Hill in St. Andrew continued, and 200 environmental wardens were trained under Phase 2 of the Integrated Community Development Project.
The ministry will be establishing a multi-stakeholder task force to support and advance our development agenda and to ensure that climate change adaptation efforts are sustainable, that our infrastructure developments are carried out in a resilient way.
Financing for climate change projects was ramped up in 2020 with the start of the $950 million Port Royal Revetment Initiative. Grants worth $120.3 million were assessed to finance a gender-based response project and a Caribbean Green Bond listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The island assumed chairmanship of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, was declared lead national authority for the Green Climate Fund's $1.2 million U.S. civil society organizations project, co-chaired the Nationally Determined Contributions Partnership for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and hosted a virtual session of the Youth Environmental Advocacy Program.
I want to challenge them to become the innovators. As you listen to some of the problems that have been highlighted by our presenters, these things create opportunities for persons who can innovate and invent to create sustainable solutions. To every problem there's a solution, and so I challenge and encourage all of you who are here and all who are listening to be the ones to solve or to help to solve those problems. If we come together and partner with purpose, there's nothing that we can't overcome.